Hi there, I'm Keith Cawley, and this is Thrive, a Bridgestone Americas podcast where we explore our company through compelling conversations with teammates across our organization. When we first asked our listeners for feedback on topics they wanted to learn more about on Thrive, we received a lot of interest in spotlighting our employee resource groups to hear more from the wonderfully diverse teammate population across Bridgestone and what they're doing to champion our inclusive, free-to-be culture. Today, in celebration of Women's History Month and International Women's Day, we close our run of ERG Spotlights with BWIN, the Bridgestone Women's Initiative Network. We're joined by Sarah Daly and Taz Kalulawala, President and Vice President of BWIN, to learn more about how BWIN became the first ERG at Bridgestone, how it's evolved with a focus on mentorship and professional development, and what it plans for the future. We hope you enjoy this conversation. Well, we are joined today by two of the leaders of one of our employee resource groups. The BWIN is the group, but it's the Bridgestone Women's Initiative Network. We're joined by Sarah Daly here next to me, the president of BWIN. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And across from me is Taz Kalulawala. She is the vice president of BWIN as well. Thanks for coming, Taz.
Thanks, Keith, for having us.
It's a pleasure, and we'll get into, I think before we get into BWIN, a little bit more about both of you. We know you are leaders in the ERG, but Sarah, let's start. You are Director of Information Security, Risk, and Compliance in the BSA IT team. What's been your journey, and how have you gotten to, I guess, this position at Bridgestone?
Sure. I joined Bridgestone 8 years ago now, hit my 9-year anniversary this year. And I believe I worked with you right from the get-go.
Back in the day. That was when I was a young rookie learning the Bridgestone ropes. Yes.
You were. We learned them together. But I've been in IT the whole time, been in 3-4 different positions, just learning the Bridgestone IT way and helping to move us forward. And I've been in information security for the last 4 months, I believe.
Yeah, never a dull moment in IT. Lots of digital transformation happening. So
yes.
A lot of adventure. Taz, what about you? You are Executive Director of Internal Audit, is your day job when you're not Vice Presidenting over BWIN. But what's been your journey maybe also before Bridgestone and then at Bridgestone?
Right. So I've been at Bridgestone for about 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. My 4th year anniversary will be this year.
Coming up.
Before that, I was in Houston, Texas, with a utilities company. Mm-hmm. So moved in 2019 with Bridgestone for the internal audit role. And in about the last 3.5 years, we've had the pandemic and then the crazy change that we're all still trying to figure out. But things are getting back to normal, seeing the huge transformation at Bridgestone, just generally, as well as within internal audit and how we've matured and come to where we are now.
Yeah. How long were you maybe at Bridgestone before the pandemic hit full?
About 6 months.
Okay.
That's
so
it.
Just enough, but maybe definitely not enough, right? To get ingrained in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about BWIN, the Bridgestone Women's Initiative Network. We've done these profiles, these spotlights across the podcast on each of our ERGs to this point, and now BWIN is the last in line, but we wanted to save what is the original for last. This was our first employee resource group, so the founding OG, if you will, of our ERGs. But what's a little bit of the history of BWIN and how it's kind of evolved and grown over the last few years?
Yeah, so BWIN was founded in 2016 in our Nashville location. We still have one of our original sponsors, TJ Higgins. Yeah. And we really started with wanting to just promote and just raise women up at Bridgestone, right? Help them thrive at Bridgestone and succeed at Bridgestone. It's really just been part of our pillar is our membership, professional development, mentoring, and now community engagement.
Do you remember, neither of you were obviously in leadership positions. Taz was in Houston apparently at the time. Do you remember what the process was like, or did you hear about much of what the process was like to create the ERG at that time? Because there was no roadmap for creating ERGs at Bridgestone at that moment.
There was no roadmap. There was no D&I office. It was women who got together and said, we need to do this. And they started it, and one of their first things they launched was their mentoring circles, and that's how I got engaged. I started with a mentoring circle right out the gate. I said, this sounds like a great idea, a good way to network within Bridgestone. I'd only been here about a year at that point. And it's just grown bananas since then. We are up to almost 1,000 members.
Yeah. And not just, you said it was founded in the Nashville office, but it has since expanded well beyond that, correct?
Yes, it has. We have a wonderful arm in our BSRO group that is led by some amazing women. We are also looking at starting an Aiken location. Akron has got a sponsor now. Latin America and EMEA is also kicking off this year.
So we are into Europe up at our technical center. Aiken is where we have manufacturing facilities. And then, of course, BSRO, I hope we familiarized with the audience by now, but our retail network of automotive stores. I'd have to imagine, this is an assumption on my part, Taz, but coming in 6-month window before the pandemic hits, where then everybody goes back into our homes and we separate, was BWin a helpful resource for you to get acclimated to Bridgestone, meet other people, and really create your own internal network?
Absolutely. I think that was the key. I think in the first month that I was there at Bridgestone, I attended the fall event. And after that, I met a great deal of people, met a lot of like-minded women, allies, and took a lot from that and had decided to kind of be part of it in a bigger, better way. 4 months into that was COVID, pandemic. We all went back to our homes, and I struggled to assimilate in Nashville, assimilate at Bridgestone with everything that was going on. So BWin became one of those resources where I took an interest and, asked to volunteer. There were some open positions on the executive team. I applied and was interviewed. And I felt like, it was very much in line with what I wanted to do. Also be a part of a bigger group than just where I worked in my team and our business owners. So that is why I got involved and got, onto the team.
Yeah. And of course, it's evolved a little bit, we said, in reach and in location. Has the, I guess, objective of it evolved over time now? We're looking at about 7 years almost that it's been around. Were the founding objectives and principles different than what they are now, or is it pretty consistent?
We still have our original mission statement. It is all about making sure that women thrive and are successful at Bridgestone. Now, we have added additional pillars since we were originally established in our community engagement group. So the community engagement group, they bring in people from outside of Bridgestone, right? They bring in our community partners like Play Like a Girl, and they bring them into our events, and so that we can bring visibility to those groups and really help women outside of Bridgestone, right? We've also used Play Like a Girl. We've used Thistle Farms. We've had them there, and we've had American Heart Association there about women's health, really just trying to help bring that awareness from Bridgestone to teammates.
And you said, I think the original foundings was professional development, membership, which was just growing the base and the network, and then it was mentoring. Well, those were and that was one of my next questions. So that's good. I didn't pretend to forget that, so it set up my next question. But I did want to talk, you mentioned mentor circles already in this, and I think that is one unique aspect of BWin versus maybe some of the other ERGs to this point, is you built out mentoring programming within the network early on, and that has since evolved. I'm super excited and proud. I'm a co-leader of a BWin mentoring circle right now. This is my first year. I'm learning this as I go, but very impressed by the organization behind it, the curriculum that they provide, and kind of the structure, with then freedom to go and have these conversations. But where did all of this kind of maybe come from, or how has it developed, and why was it so important to be a part of the BWin circle?
Right. So if you think about helping women thrive at Bridgestone or even just in the community, mentoring was a key part. It supports your professional development, supports just personal and social interactions and association. And given that that is how BWin started, that has been a key focus for BWin, the leadership, as well as assisted a lot of women to kind of, ask questions and figure out how can they carve their own journey at Bridgestone. Additionally, I think it has grown to different business units as well as BSRO. Like we said, all of these chapters and all of that has come out of more discussions from the mentoring circle and also the leadership support that we get. With leaders becoming mentors, they are seeing the kind of talent we have, the kind of skill sets that women bring to the table, and then how they can utilize that to really add value to the bottom line for their teams and departments.
Yeah, and I know that the topics change a little bit. What are maybe some of the primary conversations or focus topics that you try to spend time with, whether it's the mentoring circles, you also do master classes, so it's a very wide spectrum.
Right. So last year we kind of focused on just building your network and adding to just financial skills, understanding how we report financial results, and then building that. For this year, we're talking about communication and presentation. How do you build a brand? How do you build a brand for yourself, for your team, and how do you pull different teammates on your team for different opportunities? So that is the focus for 2023 for us.
No, and I would have to assume maybe that BWIN has also been then a mentor of sorts for other ERGs as they've been created over the last several years. We've gotten to talk to some that are a few years old, some that are relatively more new. How has maybe BWIN interacted with some of these groups? Because I know they all have a great ERG network across together, but how has BWIN also maybe helped them find their process, their structure, and how they go to engage?
Yeah, so the DE&I office that was established a couple of years ago, led by Ebony Davis, she has done an amazing job at not recreating the wheel, right? So she has brought BWIN in and set us down several times and been like, knowledge share with the other ERGs. What was successful for you all, even to providing our templates, right? Our organizational structures, how it is that we organize as a group. And so really just kind of partnering with the other ERGs to help a lot of them kind of lift up and get going, right? Hit the ground running, and they don't have to start from scratch.
And I guess that engagement and what Ebony, I think you mentioned, is brought to the table is the ERG share across the networks, right? So we do have these focused groups that engage their membership, but a lot of people are members of multiple groups, and they are always interacting and really celebrating and championing each other. I guess for BWIN, when it was only BWIN at the time, but now you have a community of resource groups, that has to mean a lot to also amplifying your own message, I'd have to imagine.
People that want to get involved and want to get engaged, you can be a member or an ally of all the ERG groups. None of them exclude people. You can be a member of BWIN and be a man. Totally acceptable. We need our allies along on this journey with us. If you're wanting to volunteer and get more involved, right, get involved with the community or committee or event planning, or even get on the executive committee, just raise your hand. We will take on all the volunteers we can possibly get. I do say, like, find what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about bringing women up at Bridgestone, focus on that. If you're passionate about Unidos, focus on that. But go ahead and join all the ERGs. They're all a lot of fun, and they all bring their own flavor.
Yeah, it's a way to learn about other cultures, your teammates, their backgrounds, their interests and passions. It's been a wonderful kind of journey of opening up the interaction at Bridgestone, I think, over the last 7 years. Sarah mentioned a couple of the external, maybe community partners that you worked with. How do you go about, I guess, Taz, kind of connecting with groups to bring in and engage with, or to support outward from Bridgestone when it comes to BWIN?
Right. So I think a lot of focus is, where our objectives align with other organizations, generally nonprofit organizations, right? So one of the key partnerships that BWIN has is with AWIN, which is Advancing Women in Nashville. Just because BWIN started in Nashville, we were looking at other organizations across the city to partner with and get a support network for the women at Bridgestone outside of Bridgestone. So Advancing Women in Nashville is a nonprofit with the mission of making Nashville the it city for women. And I think that very much aligns with what BWIN is trying to do at Bridgestone. Another thing we do is, along with creating that support structure or toolkit for women, we are also trying to figure out where can we help in the community that we are, which is where we go out to see, okay, what organizations are serving the community we are in. Same for Latin America, same for Akron, as well as Nashville. And that's how we bring community partners in. And then last but not the least, the Play Like the Girl partnership that we have. We have realized as we've gone through this journey that we want to start young. When girls are in school, that's when we want to get in there and help them build their self-esteem and some skill sets to get to the next level. So that partnership has been great for us, as well as that organization, and we have donated $100,000. Bridgestone has, as part of the partnership with Play Like a Girl with Derek Henry, and Sarah was part of it. So we are just super proud to have her part of that event and that partnership.
Yeah. Titans running back Derek Henry, for maybe those not Nashville or not following football, and maybe living under that football rock for a while. But yeah, he's been a great advocate for youth in particular and their nonprofits, but to partner together with him. And he was very excited to work, my understanding was, with Play Like a Girl and partner with Bridgestone to support that. So just great stuff at that youngest level, right, as we develop the future. We talk about this continuous evolution when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion at Bridgestone. At the time that we're recording this, we just had our second annual DE&I annual report released. Sarah mentioned that Ebony came in. We've started this DE&I office. We had our first annual report in 2022. Now our second one, and this is an idea of holding ourselves transparently accountable, right, for the numbers across Bridgestone and the journey that we're on and the commitments that our leadership and our team has made. I've got some notes in front of me just to get some things right. Among the achievements, we were named 2022 Top Company for Women to Work in Transportation with the leading magazine for women in that industry, or in our industry, really. Legal team has been doing great work. We saw this at the Bridgestone Americas Awards. Their focus has been a lot on DE&I, but they continue to do work to increase their percentage of work being contracted to women and minority-owned firms across Bridgestone. 82% of teammates said they feel like they are free to be themselves at Bridgestone, according to our latest employee engagement survey, which I think is fantastic because that's been the push, right? I mean, free to be has been that message, to be ourselves. The ERGs, including BWIN, help lead that. And then a last note is a 2% plus increase in underrepresented groups, including women taking leadership and management roles across Bridgestone Americas. So it's nice to see this progress. I think the ERGs help push that, certainly. But I think at that same time, we all know that there's no real finish line on this journey. It's a continued evolution. So as you know, Sarah, you've been here for now 7-8 years now. Taz, maybe a few years. But from the different perspectives, what do you see about that journey, maybe hearing those numbers, and what's great, but also where do we still have work to do when you look at it from your lenses?
Looking at it from the information technology lens, right, the STEM lens, we have made progress. We have moved the needle. However, we are still behind. So although we can celebrate the success that we have increased our numbers and that we have 2% more diversity in the organization, we can't lose our momentum, right? And when I hear that 82% of the women or 82% of the people at Bridgestone feel like they can be free to be, that is crazy empowering to work at a company where 82% of the people feel like they can bring their authentic self to the office or to their remote office, right? And if we can continue to move that needle and bring more of those people in, it's amazing what we as a company can accomplish with our people being our foundation.
What about from your seat, Taz?
So being a risk management professional, I'm going to just take a different look.
Sure.
And I'm going to look at what we still have remaining, right? So let's take the 82% of our teammates. There is still a small portion of our teammates that feel like there is more to do for them to be able to, go ahead and be their authentic self. So I think we just need to keep in perspective what work is still outstanding and how do we get there. The other piece that has been great to celebrate is the 2% in leadership roles. Given that BWIN is always trying to give women at Bridgestone the toolkit to map out their careers and go to the next level, it is very important to kind of have a goal in mind and thrive towards that, and then also be able to actually put resources behind that. So I love the leadership, expectation all across Bridgestone, but also the fact that what kind of programs do we have, who has access to those programs, and how do we make it more accessible for everyone?
Yeah. Well, speaking of programs, we've got on the calendar, March is a big month for BWIN. It is Women's History Month across the country here in the U.S. It is also International Women's Day within that month that's celebrated across borders everywhere. What are we doing right now in celebration of, I guess, those calendar dates, or what programs are also coming up that people can get involved with?
Yeah, so March 8th is International Women's Day. We partner with the DE&I office, and they support us through that, just like they do with any of the other big days that impact the other ERGs. The International Women's Day theme for this year is Embrace Equity. We're really excited about that. You will be seeing in the next couple of weeks a calendar invite on your calendars for our March 8th event. That will be coming out.
What can we expect at the March 8th event?
We are going to have a guest speaker. As always, we do kick off our large events with some executive messaging. One of our executives will be there to kick the event. We will then have a community partner there to talk about how women are thriving out in the community and what we can do to help. And then we will have our guest speaker there to talk through. We're going for, of course, sticking with the theme, Embrace Equity. I think we're going to bring some creativity into the mix, really an inspirational tone we try to hit with that event, and then we will close it out.
There you go. Any other activities coming up or that you're thinking about as we look towards beyond March and in the future that people should have on their radar? And it's okay if the answer is no.
There is never a no. So definitely we have a lot planned for 2023. Our mentoring circles will be kicking off, and that is our, of course, flagship part of it. Also, we have a speaker coming to talk about presentation skills and communication with our masterclass, and then 3 other masterclasses for the year around the same topic. And then finally, we close out the year with our fall event. So that is already in the works, and we want to keep some, secrets at this point of time so that we can keep people excited and involved. But that is what our year looks like.
Well, and we won't pry any more into that as we let those plans develop as we move forward. But as we close, we will pry to find out where people who maybe aren't currently a part of BWIN can become a part or can learn more. I think Sarah said about 1,000 members approaching right now. So for those not on that list, how can they connect and learn more?
Yeah, teammates can go to the bridge, and underneath teammate resources, they will see all of the ERGs, not just BWIN, and they can get more information there and join BWIN through a link on that site.
There you go. And I think for external listeners as well, if you want to learn more about it or prospective Bridgestone teammates, there is information on both BridgestoneAmericas.com, which is our external website, as well as bebridgestone.com, which is our talent acquisition. It's where all our job posting sites are right there. So, well, Taz and Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Thank you so much for carrying the BWIN flag, the OG of the ERGs, continuing to come forward. And happy Women's History Month, International Women's Day, and looking forward to all of the activities.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Well, we hope these Employee Resource Group Spotlight episodes have helped you learn more about our team at Bridgestone and the culture that we continue to cultivate. As mentioned, all of these topics and more are also highlighted in our recently published DE&I Annual Report, which you can find online under the Our Team tab on BridgestoneAmericas.com. If you liked this chat, be sure to listen to some of our other conversations wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And remember that you can also watch video episodes of Thrive on our Bridgestone Americas YouTube page. And if you have a question or a topic idea you'd like to send our way, just drop us a note via email at thrivepodcast@bfusa.com. paved.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Keith Cawley, reminding you to keep on keeping on, and remember that at Bridgestone, today, tomorrow, together, we thrive. Be good, everybody.